All right, ladies and gentlemen, good evening to this chat 15-minute power capsule, and where we connect you to two very intelligent brains of the world. We've got Dr. Bose from India, who's the chairman and CEO of IIHM Hotel School, and we've got Professor David Foskett, MBE, joining in from London. Today we're going to talk about life after COVID-19 in hospitality, and of course we're going to discuss about hygiene. Over to Dr. Bose.
Very good evening to everybody in India, and very good afternoon and very good morning to everybody watching this live hospitality live show from IIHM. And with me is Professor David Foskett. And Professor Foskett, how has been going on in UK? What is hospitality scene looking like? Is it looking bright after the COVID virus goes off? What's happening?
Well, everyone's in discussion about what the hospitality industry will look like after COVID-19. I think there's going to be a lot more emphasis on hygiene, on sanitizing. One discussion that as you walk into a restaurant or a hotel, straight away you will be offered sanitizer to sanitize your hands. Yeah, there's going to be a lot more emphasis on that, and consumers will want to trust you in the sense that, is it safe to actually dine in your restaurant, to stay in your hotel? So a lot more emphasis on hygiene and sanitization. But things are looking positive. People are very positive how they're going to look at the new order of life after COVID-19. That sounds good. So we had a global e-conclave over 24 alumni all over the world, and the general impression which we are getting is that things are actually getting a little better and better and better. Yes. Looking like 3 months from now, things will be fine. Yes, and that's the UK government are revising the lockdown today. Next week will be a soft opening up, and then as the weeks go on, there'll be more and more opening of facilities, shops, and restaurants will eventually open.
Which is actually a good news. Professor Foskett. In fact, we did hear in the news that Italy and Spain doctors are working on to bring in, the medicine for COVID-19. And of course, once, things return back to normal, there will be a lot of changes. And one will be, of course, the costs that the hotel are looking at. It's about the cost that they have to spend on hygiene and health of people. Dr. Bose, what do you have to say about that?
I think hygiene is very important. So it's quite interesting. And since Professor Foskett's here, I think I'll introduce something which is already in our brains for last few weeks. And so we have to understand that your health is in your hands. Your health and your hygiene is your hand. And I propose that as one of the things which we have been reading in newspapers and the news from the experts, that every time you go to the restaurants or the cafes to eat out after this lockdowns are over, that you have to use the cutleries, which has to be washed very carefully, possibly in hot water, and then to be sanitized, and then you have to eat that. If I take the example of my country, India, I think that's quite a tough ask. We have right now over 500,000 restaurants under NRAI. And if I still assume we have got 400,000 operational, and with average of 50 people coming to restaurants every day, I'm looking at 600 million diners every month. And to wash the cutleries of so many people and then to sanitize, I think it's a very, very tough ask. So what I'm suggesting is that, and it's not just for India, I think I'm suggesting it for the entire world, from the world of hospitality, is that we should start eating with our hands. we should not use cutlery now, at least for the next 1 year, and try eating with our hands. Indians generally eat with hands, and whether it's an Indian food or whether it's an continental or Chinese food, it doesn't matter, because health comes first, hygiene comes first, and our health is in our hand. So the new hashtag which I want to introduce here is hashtag eat with hand. Hashtag eat with hand. And because your health is in your hand. That way also we would be saving a huge amount of investment and money in terms of the cost of the sanitizers, cost of the labor doing the washing of so many hundreds and thousands of the cutleries. And I think this is a good way of also keeping yourself fit, because nobody cares for you more than yourself. So it's better than when you go to a cafe, go to the washroom or anywhere, wash your hand for 20 seconds, 30 seconds nicely with a nice soap, and then use sanitizers after it's dry, and then eat with your own hands. That way you will not get infected by using cutleries which you don't know whether has been cleaned properly or not. So while we are absolutely fully trusting all the restaurants and the cafe, but I think at this moment we have to be also careful about our health, and I think eat with hand is a great idea. So hashtag eat with hand.
Over very interesting proposition you made, Dr. Bose. We'll bring in Professor Foskett here from London as to what he sees this preposition as. If you look at the Western world, will they be ready to eat with hands the Conti food that you have? Professor Foskett.
Well, let's look at it like this. It's perfectly natural as a human being to eat with your hands. When you go into McDonald's or Burger King, what do? You eat with your hands. You have a sandwich, you eat with your hands. You go and have afternoon tea in a very luxurious 5-star hotel. You drink the tea, but you eat the scone, you pick up the scone, and you eat it with your hands. It's perfectly natural as a human being to eat with your hands. Yeah? And there's lots of things that we can't, obviously, we can't drink a soup or eat soup with a hand, but we can drink it from a cup, like a consomme cup. So there will be a movement to encourage people to eat with their hands. If you sterilize your hand, you know your hands are sterile, yeah, because you've sterilized them, you've sanitized them, and you know it's safe to eat with your hands. And I think sandwich bars, McDonald's, Burger King, they will have to supply at the entrance alcohol gel, hand sanitizer to sterilize your hands. Perfectly sensible, but perfectly natural. We eat with our hands. It's human to eat with your hands. Yeah?
I think that's a lovely thought that has come up, and this thought has given, I'm already thinking how many billions of dollars the hospitality industry will save in sterilization and possibly, recycling the cutlery and the crockery when you start eating from hands. So I think here we are talking about saving. So Professor Foskett, what do you have to say about, the fine dining restaurants? You see people changing the habits from cutleries over to hands and still going to fine dining restaurants?
No, I think fine dining will be very slow to come back, to be honest with you. In Europe, in some parts of the country, it's almost dead anyway because of the sheer cost. I think we have to create a new order around fine dining. Life is very different, and life will be different after COVID-19. But fine dining, you can still fine dine and eat with your hand. If I go to afternoon tea at a luxury hotel, I can drink the tea from a cup, but I can pick up the pastry, the sandwich, the scone with my hand. So I think there can be an option, even in fine dining. In some restaurants, they give you chopsticks or they give you cutlery, but they could give you the option of eating with your hand. And I think there were a lot of people will want to eat. If they know it's safe, it's safer to eat with their hand, they will eat with their hands. And it's not new, it's natural. You know, we see it all the time in Burger King, in sandwich bars, in McDonald's. We see it's perfectly natural. There's nothing unnatural about eating with your hands. Hands came before me. Yeah.
Dr. Bose, what do you have
these are cutlery.
These are cutlery. Yes.
That's the cutlery. All right.
Yes. That's the new normal. That's the new normal.
These are cutlery. It's natural.
Absolutely. That's a lovely thought. You know, the fingers are the cutlery. Dr. Bose, what do you have to say about, the investments and the money that the industry will save all over the world if this momentum picks up?
Yes, I think it's going to be huge because as such, we all know that we are going through a tough time. And when we reopen, it will take quite some time to get into the old order. Although, as Professor Foskett rightly said, we will. But then this will be a lot of saving in terms of the sanitizer. And we know that in a lot of places in the world, sanitizers are in big shortage. And I think if you can save so much of sanitizer for cleaning the utensils or cleaning the cutlery, I think that sanitizer can be used in a better way, like washing and sanitizing your hands. I think so we will be saving a lot of dollars, lot of rupees as in India. And also this will be a very practical solution because every time you go to eat, you know the first thing is that I need to wash my hand. And as an Indian, it is a culture for us ever since we are very small. Every time before our lunch or dinner, it's a culture to go and wash the hands. Ever since we are very small. So I think as Professor Foskett very rightly said, it's a kind of a natural thing for a human being to eat with hand. And I think we can start eating with hand. That's the best thing from the hygiene point of view we can do to keep the virus at bay.
That's a lovely point, actually, and that's a real point of thought that everybody needs to think tonight about, saving this cost and eating from hands. Going over to Professor Foskett, after there's a lot of talk about, how business will change after COVID-19. What do you have to say, Professor Foskett, about the pricing for the products? Because a lot of pricing in the restaurants, because 90 cover restaurant will now not be 90, maybe it will come down to 40 cover. So do you see there will be a price difference or the menu pricing will change drastically, or would we come up with easy menus, or is it that we will try to balance it with products or possibly lesser,
Well, I don't think for 1 minute you can up the prices. I think you've got to look at that very carefully. What you can do is create different menus with the same price structure. So you've got to cost reduce. You may be able to put a small increase, but not a very large increase. I think you've got to look at your menus, and some restaurants are just not viable. On the television here, they were talking to different restaurateurs. One restaurateur in Newcastle it's got a 30-seater restaurant, and I would question whether a 30-seater restaurant in normal times is actually viable. But he said he would only be able to get 8 people in safely and have to charge £300 a head. Well, clearly, his business is not viable. But to keep your business viable, what you have to do, if you've got a large restaurant, is create different menus. Be creative and reduce the cost of the ingredients, perhaps even the portion sizes. And I think you'll get there. I think there are ways around this. But, we've got to try it and see. People are naturally hospitable. People want to go out to eat. they want to socialize, they want to interact. And restaurants play a very important part in people's lifestyle. So they will want to go to restaurants, they will want to go to bars. Yeah. And if we can create safe places and sanitize, have sanitizers ready for them, encourage them to eat with their hands, I think we can almost create a new era of eating out. We can call it the natural way of being human, is to eat with your hands.
Absolutely, I fully agree with you, Professor Foskett. And I think they have to recreate the menu. They have to change the business strategy. Obviously, online delivery would be the one of the popular things in the future, and also takeaways. Takeaways, maybe you can have a takeaway counter where people don't have to sit, but they can take away the lot of things like sandwiches or burger, things like that. Or some combo meals can be taken away, etc. They're right, actually. They have to recreate and re-strategize, and I'm sure that they will be in the right path. Yes.
Absolutely lovely. So I think this was a power-packed 20-minute capsule which has given the world one idea that can save billions of dollars all over the world in, sterilizing and recycling the cutleries all over the world. In the end, Dr. Bose, the parting shot from you towards the message that comes out from this 20-minute power-packed presentation.
The parting shot is that your health is in your hand, and hashtag eat with hand. I think we can really be very, very hygienically, will be quite insulated that way every time we go out to eat, and also will have the lot of cost for the industry. So the industry will be much better off by that practice. So let's practice that. Let's start that. Just like our handshake has been replaced by Namaskar, which is also hand. You do Namaskar with hands. Now you eat with hands, as Professor Foskett said. Use hands like your fork or knife or spoon, and with that. So that's what from me, signing off from IIHM campus in Kolkata.
That was Dr. Bose and Professor Foskett. Before we end the stream, just one question. Do you see in the next coming 6 months in a formal dinner, people using their hands in UK and eating food with their own hands, leaving away the cutlery behind? Do you see that happening?
I see a lot of changes. I see, for example, that many people will not shake hands anymore. I'm encouraging people, yes, exactly. Because when the hands are like this, they're safe hands. Safe hands. They can do no harm. And I think we already go to a formal dinner, and when people have their bread, they break the bread. You never, ever cut the bread. You break the bread, which is an old Middle East tradition. Let us break bread together. You never say, let's cut bread together. You say, let us break bread together. Yeah? And I think, let's eat together. Let's eat together with our hands. Yeah? And I think that in certain aspects of fine dining or functions, there will be, chefs will create dishes which can be easily eaten with their hands,
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. That was Professor David Foskett, who joined in all the way from London this evening to join this power pack discussion on hospitality and life after COVID-19. And we've got Dr. Bose, Chairman, CEO, IIHM, doing some lovely discussion. And out of this 20-minute power pack presentation and discussion, finally, the outcome is that use your fingers to eat food and your hygiene is in your hands. Ladies and gentlemen, looking forward for some amazing formal dinners where people using the hands and coming out of the cutlery that is used. And as Professor Foskett rightly said, breaking the bread together. Thank you for joining in. Enjoy yourself. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.